heal as a team, we're going to crumble. Inch by inch, play by play, till we're finished. We're in hell right now, gentlemen, believe me. And we can stay here, get the shit kicked out of us, or we can fight our way back into the light. We can climb out of hell. 1 inch at a time. You know, when you get old in life, things get taken from you. I mean, that's part of life. But you only learn that when you start losing stuff. You find out life's this game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, 1/2 a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us. They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second. On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw our fingernails for that inch. Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's going to make the fucking difference between winning and losing. Between living and dying. I'll tell you this, in any fight, it's the guy who's willing to die who's going to win that inch. And I know if I'm going to have any life anymore, it's because I'm still willing to fight and die for that inch. Because that's what living is. The 6 inches in front of your face. Now, I can't make you do it. You got to look at the guy next to you. Look into his eyes. Now, I think you're going to see a guy who will go that inch with you. You're going to see a guy who will sacrifice himself for this team because he knows when it comes down to it, you're going to do the same for him. That's a team, gentlemen. And either we heal now as a team, or we will die as individuals.
Ideas are bulletproof.
Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. It is January 27th, 2012. This is another live edition of Down the Rabbit Hole. I am your host, Popeye from FederalJack.com. Today I'm joined by my good friend, retired Marine fellow veteran, Mr. Ken Hildebrand, who happens to be a host here on the Orion Talk Radio Network. He has a show on Sundays called The Information Nation that runs from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. EST. So, welcome to the show, Ken. Most of the listeners know who you are.
Oh, really? I didn't know anybody knew who I was except you.
No, I think everybody knows who Uncle Ken is by now, Ken.
Hey, it's great to be here, Popeye, anytime.
And as you know, ladies and gentlemen, Ken is a good friend of mine, and he's a fellow veteran. And I respect his opinion immensely, and I like to have Ken come on and rip apart the mainstream news. And that is what the two of us are going to do tonight. We're going to rip apart some video clips for you, and I'm going to show you just exactly, I mean, most of you know about the propaganda that's out there, but I know a lot of you have exposed people you know to my radio show, and because I guess I have a blue-collar way of coming across, sometimes people can relate to it. So I'm going to get into a few things. So if you have anybody that buys into the Fox News crap, I got a special Fox News clip that I'm going to play and rip apart tonight as well. So, Ken, there's a plethora of things we can rip on. Let's get into the first big thing that you brought up before when we were off air, which is a really good point. Obama's birth certificate issue in regards to him being eligible to be on the ballot for 2012. Now, in Georgia, somebody, I guess a guy, I don't know if it was filed a lawsuit or whatever, filed a complaint in court, and I guess, what was it, yesterday? The guy, or 2 days ago, Obama was supposed to show up in court, and he didn't, and the judge ruled that Obama was in contempt of court and all this other stuff, and I guess he ruled against him and pretty much said that he can't be on the ballot, right? That's about what's going on with the story?
Well, he hasn't made up his mind yet as to whether he can be on the ballot. He's going to look at all things. But the interesting thing about this, while Obama didn't show up and neither did his attorney, basically they flipped off the judge. The judge, as you can imagine, is a little bit ticked because that's his ground. And what was really interesting about this is, number one, according to a Supreme Court ruling, both your parents have to be American-born in order for you to qualify as an American citizen and run for the office of president, which Barack Obama makes no doubt about that his dad was born in Kenya. That's point number one. But the other things that came up is the fact that they know now that the birth certificate was photoshopped. They also were questioning the fact that how many Social Security numbers does this guy have? So he totally does not qualify to be on the ballot. Now, what the Obama administration turned around and said was, his attorneys, they said, well, it's not a state issue, it's a federal issue because it's a federal election. What the judge in turn came back and said was, look, these elections have to be certified by the Secretary of State. So it's a state-by-state issue. So that kind of shot him down, and I got a feeling this is going to go. This one's going to go places, and they talk about Newt was talking about Marco Rubio for vice president. Rubio doesn't qualify because the same standards hold for vice president.
And Newt doesn't qualify either because he's a douche. But that's besides the point. You know how many of them don't qualify, Ken? That's actually a good point. You know what's his name? Romney don't qualify neither because his dad was born in Mexico. So it's a moot point. He should be cut out. You don't. It's as simple as that. Everybody loves to say, "Oh, it's semantics, Ken." You know, like they try to argue semantics. No, okay. It's black and white. It's as simple as that. He is not eligible to run. Goodbye. Obama not eligible to run. Goodbye. Okay. So now you have them knocked out of the race. Santorum, he's not even in the ballot in Virginia. Neither is Gingrich. So who's the only one left that's on the ballot?
Uncle Ron.
Exactly.
He's
the only one that makes any sense. And I'm not saying he's Superman. He's going to fly in, and on January 21st, when I think is when he would become the president, he's not going to land in Washington, and the ground's going to shake, and everything's going to be fixed overnight. But if you want any change, any real change whatsoever, go with him. I mean, look at it this way. It's either vote for Paul and maybe have a chance at something, or you continue with the same crap that you've been whining about for, years and years and years. You know what I mean, Ken?
Oh, yeah. Well, it was interesting. They came out with a study today of the news media, and I know we're going to get into that a little bit more, but how little Ron Paul has been covered by the news media. I mean, virtually nothing. I mean, even, Fox News, Mr. Fair and Balanced, we report, you decide. Well, if you don't report it, we can't decide a damn thing. And even they talked about Romney, they talked about Newt, they talked about Santorum. They never mentioned Ron Paul.
Dude, he's like Jon Stewart called him. He's the 13th floor in a hotel.
Yeah, you can't find him.
Yeah, it's locked off. It's not talked about. It's just not labeled, And for some people that don't understand that comment because it's an older reference. Some hotels now still do it, but hotels are very superstitious and usually don't have a 13th floor because some hotels that have weird stuff has happened on them. Whatever, it's probably the energy you put into it. But anyway, they're just superstitious like that. So a lot of times there's no 13th floor in a hotel room. It'll go right from 12 to 14. They just don't put the number there. So that's what we mean is that it's there. But it's la, 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 la. They label the 13th floor, the 14th floor, and then they just skip a number and continue. So it would be, you would literally be going from floor to floor, but you'd be going from the 12th to the 14th. Well, Ron is that 13th floor. He's right there in front of them. Everybody in the country, it could be a 90% vote for Ron Paul, and I guarantee you they'll be like, no, he didn't win. He could get everybody, the whole country, even the mainstream media press. The prostitutes, they could vote for him, and they'd be like, they'd report, nah, he didn't win. I mean, that's the way it is.
Done.
But you know what he does? Do you know what he does, Ken, right? Having him not only interject real issues, but say we keep interjecting these real issues and we're waking more and more people up, more and more people are coming out of their sleep, as it were. Now, if say he gets let's say he gets the Republican nomination, and he goes up against Obama, and somehow Obama kills him, like slaughters him in votes. It's a fix. If it's too close, they'll be able to switch it. But I don't think it would be like that. I think Ron Paul would. I don't think it'd be that tight of a race. I think if everybody understood the message of just basic freedom, they'd get it. But some people are helpless and would rather be led around by their noses and told what to do, ladies and gentlemen. And that's just the plain truth. And those are some of the idiots that have access to voting booths. All right, we're going to break. Ken and I will be right back, crapping all over the mainstream media tonight. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. More to come in 3 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, it may seem daunting, this task we have ahead of us. But over 230 years ago, people with a lot less of a technological advantage stood up to a tyranny just as great and said no. And I think it's time that everybody did the same. And if everybody did the same, there would be no need for violence. They want you to do something violent so they can throw you into one of their little death camps, their little gulags, and lock you up and, perform experiments on you, torture you. You'll be an enemy combatant. You won't be considered a United States citizen. They want you to
being
act
in the
up.
military.
Well, yeah, it's when you're in the military, you're pretty much a slave, and if you screw up, you're done. And if you think I'm lying, Ken will tell you it's the same. There's plenty of guys that rot in military prisons for doing the right thing. Look at that video I played, the clips I played from the movie about PFC John Needham. He didn't want to take part in evil, sick things, and they locked him up and tortured him by his own command. And that kind of stuff happens. And that's this evil. It's permeating all throughout everything. And I think it's time to stand up. There's no reason to not have courage. The only thing to fear is fear itself. It's a ridiculous nothing. It's like, do you ever see the movie, the hell was the name of that movie? Never Ending Story. And they were being chased by the nothing. Well, really, that's what this is. It's nothing. They don't have the power. We have the power. That's what a lot of people fail to realize, and again, the best visual I could give you is if the end of the Matrix, when Trinity says to him, now get up, and he wakes up and he looks and he sees everything in code, and Agent Smith and the other two douchebags, they just raise their guns because, again, that's what they have, is just their thuggery, their fear, and they shoot at him. And what does he do? He stands his ground and raises his hand and he says, no. He makes that conscious decision. No, I will not take it anymore. No, I will not sit idly by while you rape my country, the citizens, and what's left of the Constitution, and about 3/4 of it is in the friggin' shredder.
Well, all of this stuff that they're doing right now is from fear. And the biggest thing that they fear more than anything else is the internet. Right now, the internet scares them to death because people can openly communicate, and that scares them.
And don't be afraid. If they take one person down, then 100 people stand up. And if they take 100 people down, then 100,000 stand up. Do you understand the point, ladies and gentlemen? You do not give in. It is their fear. They are projecting it on you. They want you to be afraid because in reality, they fear you. They fear you being awake and enlightened and on the same playing field. Okay? And their idea of this quest, this order of the quest, which all these different secret societies are a part of. And I suggest you go read Manly P. Hall's work to understand what I'm talking about. In fact, I plan on doing a show and a special podcast for the Intel Hub about Manly P. Hall coming up. So stay tuned for that. But the order of the quest is very old, thousands of years, thousands and thousands of years. And it was this idea of turning the United States, where we live now, into this new Atlantis, this country of enlightened individuals. There wouldn't be any war or anything like that because you'd be evolved beyond that. And this original grand idea, thought of by people like Plato, it's been twisted and perverted. And, of course, George Washington even said that the Freemasons had been infiltrated and taken over by people that he called the Jacobites, the Illuminati. Now, this is all history, mainstream history. You can go look it up, a lot of what I just told you, right in the Library of Congress. You can pull Washington's diary and read it. That's why the subject of Freemasonry, by the way, it's a little muddy and murky when people talk about it and they say, well, my uncle's a Mason and blah, blah, blah. It's a secret society inside of a secret society, this cabal. It's an elite group inside, it's an elite secret cabal inside of the Freemasons, which is, by definition, a secret society. So what better place to hide, ladies and gentlemen? So before you try to explain to somebody what's going on, you must educate yourself. It is like going into battle as a Marine without your damn armor and your weapon. I would never dream of going into a firefight with rocks in my hand. I wouldn't win. Maybe if I had 100,000 people with rocks and there was maybe 50 guys with guns. But if I'm going to go into an all-out, slugfest, slinging lead, then I have to be armed. Okay? And in this case, the ammunition is information and knowledge. Because that can stop this coming war that these morons want to start. It's just this elitist group that are playing everybody like a fiddle. And you have people that play right into it. When you say that someone's a New World Order stooge, some people might get confused. And, well, Jesus, what is everybody on the take? They all worship the devil and they all do this and take part in sacrifices. And no. But what happens is you have people that are willing to sell their soul. So not every one of them is involved in it. But there are people that are willing to allow themselves to be involved in it and allow themselves to be puppets because they themselves are control freaks and want that power. And that's a sign of weakness on the inside, because a real man doesn't want to control another man. A real man doesn't want to control a woman or control kids. A real man doesn't hit women or hit kids or, go smack around other men. That's not a real man. A real man is secure within himself. And our country is acting like the insecure bully right now because we're letting the insecure bullies run it. And the only way we're going to take it back is if everybody stops taking the bullies' shit. I mean, to put it in layman's terms, that's the easiest way I can explain it to you. How do you stop a bully from picking on you in school? Usually, if you kick the bully's ass, he leaves you alone from there on out. And a lot of times, he respects you for it. Sometimes you don't even have to get to that level. A lot of times I've seen bullies back off because the kid stands up for himself the first time and they're like, holy crap, I could get my butt kicked. So they back off. They're operating in the fear frequency, ladies and gentlemen, and they want all of us to be there too. That's what all this is about. And that's why I decided to give this, segment the time that I've allotted to. I decided to give it up and use it to discuss this topic really quick before we go on any further with the show tonight, because it's important that you remember that. It's important that no matter how much bad information I give out and harp on things and rip clips apart or make fun of the mainstream media, that at least for 10 minutes I give you some semblance of hope and some sort of solution, or else I have not done my job. So my whole goal tonight is to instill in you that you should not be afraid. Do not buy into the fear. You are more powerful than you could ever imagine. You, the listener, the people that hear this, are going to be the ones that stand up and win this. You guys are Neo. That's where I try to come across with all this stuff. I'm not the one. I'm not special. No other radio host is. None of us are. You have to look at us like we're Morpheus, ladies and gentlemen. You are Neo. You are all the one. Time to stand up and kick the New World Order's ass any way we possibly can. We're going to break, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, the mainstream media is going to get its ass torn apart. Stand by. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Make sure you tune in this Sunday for my show from 5 to 7. I'm going to have James Lane and I know I'm going to murder Holland's last name here. Holland van Nieuwenhof, I think is how you pronounce it. I'll have to ask him. I'm not a little rusty on pronouncing Dutch names. It's been a while. But, yeah, they're both the creators, filmmakers, producers, researchers, cameramen of A Noble Lie, a new movie out. It came out about a month ago. It's about the Oklahoma City bombing. And they're going to be on for 2 hours. We're going to be talking evidence, the movie, everything. And I got to tell you, I got the movie. I ordered it. And no, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't ask them for a free copy. I purchased a copy to support them. Even though they're as guests on my show, I still purchased a copy because that's how you do it. And I got it in, and I watched it, and my jaw hit the floor because I already know a lot about OKC, and there really isn't any definitive documentary out there to talk about it. And I got to say, you know, for those of you that trust my opinion, this movie is really powerful, and there is a ton of evidence. You watch this movie, let's say you're a newbie and you don't believe in conspiracies, but, you know, I mean, you know they happen, but you really, you need evidence. You watch this, you're going to look at things in a whole new light, I promise. And then once you look at OKC, which happened before 9/11, then you're going to look at 9/11, and you're going to look at the first World Trade Center bombing, and then you're going to look at all this other stuff, and you're going to be like, oh, my God. So I promise it's going to be a awesome, awesome show. So Sunday, 5 p.m. 7 p.m. here on the Orion Talk Radio Network. We're going to be talking about it. And next week, Wednesday, for 2 hours, the good friend of this network and the show, who you just heard actually during our break, Christina Consolo, the rad chick, is going to be coming back on. She's going to be hanging out with me for 2 hours, and we're going to be talking Fukushima conspiracy theories. So tune in. All right, getting back into it, Ken. I got a clip I want to play. I actually got a few clips. The first one is, you brought up a good point about ACTA. Now, not many people know what ACTA is. A lot of people know, SOPA and PIPA, and we defeated them, Ken. We got SOPA and PIPA put on the back shelf somewhere. No, we didn't. Defeated. Yeah, they're on the back shelf. They're waiting for you to pay attention to the next starlet that drowns her baby or some crap, okay, or goes off the deep end. And while you're all paying attention to some stupid crap and Nancy Grace mouthing off, and everybody's, Nancy Grace is a fat pig. Well, everybody's, paying attention to that and doing all that stupid stuff. They're not going to pay attention, and they're going to put that stuff in a spending bill or something. You know what I'm talking about, Ken.
Yeah, they already, as far as the Protect IP, they've come out with a new one that's even worse than the original one. So the hits just keep on rolling in. I mean, we're not.
And ACTA isn't even ours. It's like an EU law or a treaty or a UN treaty or whatever. I'll let you listen to the clip because it'll explain what it is. But it's a treaty that Obama already signed, and now he's trying to shaft it down Congress's throat. So listen to this. And ACTA makes SOPA look like Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm.
Can you imagine your internet service provider policing everything you do online? Can you imagine generic drugs that could save lives being banned? Can you imagine seeds that could feed thousands being controlled and withheld in the name of patents? This will become reality with ACTA. ACTA is the Anti-Counterfeiting Trade Agreement. Disguised as a trade agreement, ACTA goes much, much further than that. For the past 3 years, ACTA has been negotiated in secret by 39 countries. But the negotiators are not democratically elected representatives. They don't represent us, but they are deciding laws behind our backs. Bypassing our democratic processes, they impose new criminal sanctions to stop online file sharing. ACTA aims to make internet service and access providers legally responsible for what their users do online, turning them into private copyright police and judge, censoring their networks. The chilling effects on free speech would be terrible. In the name of patents, ACTA would give large corporations the power to stop generic drugs before they reach the people who need them, and to stop the use of certain seeds for crops. the European Parliament will soon vote on ACTA. This vote will be the occasion to say no, once and for all, to this dangerous treaty.
Now,
As
although
citizens-
this is already too late because they already passed it, because this was October 27th, 2011. So, there's only a few seconds left in the video, and the rest of it is obviously talking about, how to stop it and everything, which they didn't. And then Obama signed it. I think it was November of 2011. So now he's trying to tell Congress, you must ratify it. Just like, remember, I've told you about Admiralty law and the law of the sea.
He signed
You know
it on
what-
October 1st.
October 1st?
October 1st, 2011.
There you go. I was close. It's in the fall. And the Law of the Sea Treaty, which they've been trying to get Congress to ratify. If I remember correctly, it was either Clinton or Bush Sr. that agreed. No, Bush Sr. agreed to Agenda 21 and Codex Alimentarius. I can't remember which one of them. It might have been Clinton that signed, agreed to sign to the Law of the Sea Treaty, but they want Congress hasn't ratified it yet. For those of you that don't understand quickly, the Constitution is, when you hear the term the law of the land, like that's the law of the land, that's the Constitution. The law of the land is the Constitution. And any laws on land have to be based on the Constitution, or they're, quote, null and void and unconstitutional, just like many of our laws are. Now, on the water, you have admiralty law, and I've explained before that when you go to court here in the United States, you're subject to admiralty law, not to the law of the land. That's the whole purpose of you crossing that wooden banister. It simulates you boarding a ship. Therefore, now you are in a court of the sea, not in a court of the land. Well, this brings that power, that law of the sea, okay, picture that like on crack, okay? And this gives the UN common power over all waterways. All water. All water. You have a lake in your local town, the United Nations is going to run it. I'm not kidding. You think I'm joking? No. That creek behind your house, you and your kids go fishing in, you've been doing it since they were 5, and now they're 15. Yeah. The UN would control that. And Obama, his admin's trying to push it. And of course, it's not, for anybody to say, well, it's Bush wouldn't have done that. Right. His admin tried pushing it too. It's all the same crap, just a different face. Okay? Just a different puppet, same crap. And remember, when you have an administration, you have people coming in from outside and you're putting them in. So, you get someone that's... Obama's cabinet, half of his cabinet is, Jimmy Carter's cabinet. Half of his advisors were in Jimmy Carter's cabinet. So, Kissinger is your advisor. The guy's a war criminal. Doesn't that like stick out to anybody that nobody? Well, he's the president. Maybe he knows better. So, would you allow your kid, Ken? If you have kids, if you had a daughter, would you allow your daughter to go off with Henry Kissinger on a date?
I wouldn't allow her in the same state with that scumbag.
Right. So why do we let this scumbag? Why is he an advisor to the president?
Because of the power that he wields. People have to understand he's a globalist. He's a one-world globalist. You listen to his speeches, go back and listen to his speeches of 20 years ago, and he was a globalist then. He's a globalist now. He is one of the top globalists in the world. And he pushes the globalist agenda, and that's why he's where he's at. Obama didn't pick him. Obama was told, take him. Just like everything else, Obama is told. He doesn't pick anybody because Obama does not run this country. People think, oh, yeah, he's the president. He runs the country. Obama does nothing but what he's told. And the same thing with a lot of other presidents that we've had. Go back to Bush, Clinton, Carter, the other Bush. Even Reagan was told. So,
well, Reagan's got some dark stuff to himself too. But you remember, they took advantage of the fact that now it's come out that he was actually starting to have Alzheimer's while he was in office, and they knew that. So,
yeah, they took advantage of him.
Kind of make sure, well, because he did a lot of drugs too. So, and ladies and gentlemen, people are going to go, what? The conservatives are going to get all pissed off. Just Go read The Transformation of America by Kathy O'Brien so you could see the other side of the conservative god that is Ronald Reagan. We're going to break. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. They're all corrupt. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. I got a little special clip for you here. This is from Fox News. Fox News, I like to call them. And this guy's name is, I wrote it down, J.D. Gordon. He's the former foreign policy advisor to the Herman Cain campaign. So obviously that means he's, I guess he's Superman because Fox News has him on. I'm being sarcastic. Okay. Listen to what I just said. He is the former foreign policy advisor to the Herman Cain campaign. Do you understand why I'm being facetious about this, ladies and gentlemen? Herman Cain couldn't figure out anything about Libya or anywhere else for that matter. Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan. Remember that famous interview where they talked to him and he was like, Libya, Libya, oh, and he kept shifting. He was all uncomfortable. That would be considered foreign policy. I'm doing quotes, foreign policy. Well, this douche that you're about to hear from was Herman Cain's foreign policy advisor. And Fox News has him on like he's some sort of guru. Now, think about what I just said, okay? And listen to what he says. He compares the Taliban to the Nazis. But it's a little bit, it's about a 4-minute clip, so we're going to stop it and rip into it. But just listen, check this out.
Well, I think the Taliban is trying to ratchet up pressure because they want to have so-called peace talks with us. But I think it's just a ruse to get us out quicker. The Obama administration has said that they'd like to end combat operations by 2014. And so they're talking to the Taliban now. And in fact, they've been talking to the Taliban about potentially releasing 3 senior Taliban leaders from Guantanamo. One former Army chief of staff, a former governor, and a former deputy intelligence minister for the Taliban. So I think the Taliban is trying to put as much pressure as they can on the U.S. and the international forces to get us out so they can take power again.
It's going to seem very counterintuitive, I think, to a lot of our viewers who are probably listening to this and watching events in Afghanistan, thinking, wait, the Taliban are still trying to kill us on pretty much a daily, if not hourly basis, and now we're going to talk to the Taliban.
You see that programming, Ken? Now you're a combat veteran. You see the programming, what they're pushing? They're saying there is no political way to talk with anybody. We've been at war 10 years, and we're going to have to be. It's like we're going to have to be there another 20 until we kill everybody, and we can't. We're not going to win.
Reminds me of the peace talks in Paris. They had all these peace talks and everything in Paris going on. In the meantime, guys were dying over in Vietnam. This is so political, and it is so much a farce. I remember when Obama was candidate, Obama saying, well, I'll talk to Ahmadinejad. Now look what he's doing with Iran. He's not talking to him.
No, he's trying. They're trying to start World War freaking III. And
they went over to Libya, no-fly zone. And they shot how many missiles in there? They shot like 70 of them at one night. Yeah, but still. But it's still a no-fly zone. Of course, when you blow up a tank, it will fly through the air. So I guess I thought...
If a kinetic... according to the government, a kinetic action is a kinetic action, Ken. So, it's kinetic action, right? So, it's kinetic action.
Is that what you get? So is that what you get when you go into the bedroom? What, Mama? A little kinetic action?
That's
what we got. Kinetic action.
That doesn't mean moving action, like kinetic energy. So like moving action, like hello. Who came up with that? Well, that's like military intelligence.
Yeah, that's a contradiction in terms.
Yeah, two words that don't belong together in the same sentence. Oy.
Yeah, that's like expressway or rush hour. You just military intelligence. It's
exactly, dude.
There's something so wrong with those words together.
You should see the. I'll drop the video in the chat room for people, but you can see it on my YouTube channel. It's titled "Epic Media Fail: Fox News Compares the Taliban to the Nazis." But they got this guy. He's just shy of wearing a bow tie. He's got like the Elvis hairdo with the black framed glasses, square lenses, and he's just a total neocon douche. And of course, they get this other guy, because he's an expert on foreign policy, apparently.
Where's the logic in that?
I don't really think there's a lot of logic other than the administration's desire to get out of Afghanistan as quickly as possible, which I could understand. We've been there, since just after 9/11, a month after we went into Afghanistan. But I think negotiating with the Taliban is a mistake because, number one, they're terrorists. And
so the Taliban are terrorists because you're in their country, okay? We invaded their country, and we're bombing and killing their women and children, and they're the terrorists because they kill our troops.
Military intelligence.
Right?
Yeah.
It's such propaganda, dude. It's disgusting. And I think talking to the Taliban is the wrong thing. Maybe this guy doesn't know anything about history. Maybe he hasn't read anything about anybody else's little adventures into, that part of Asia. But everybody else that's gone into Afghanistan, things didn't work out for them either. So I don't know why it's so hard to figure out.
As a expert in the area of foreign policy myself, let me explain a little something about how the military works. The military goes in and kills people. That's what we do. That's what we're trained to do. They never went in there and said, okay, we're going to put you in a combat situation and you're going to direct traffic. No, they told you very plainly, you're going to go into a combat situation, you're going to kill people. That's what you're being trained to do. So all of this crap that comes out of Washington about, I'll tell you, those 4 Marines that were urinating on the dead bodies, I'll tell you exactly how that happened. Being an ex-Marine, former Marine, I'll tell you exactly how that happened. They killed those 4 guys. The platoon leader, squad leader, whoever the heck it was, went to his lieutenant and says, what do you want us to do with the bodies? He said, I'll piss on them. So they did. Being good Marines, they followed their orders. That's the way it works. The Marine Corps, the Army, they're not made to be peacekeepers. You want a police action? Put the cops over there.
That's why we shouldn't be in war.
Yeah, the New York police. They've got all the battle gear. Let the New York police go over there.
This is the kind of crap that happens when you put people at war with each other and they're killing each other. This is the kind of things that go on. And ladies and gentlemen, this is not new. For anybody that thinks that this stuff is brand new, I urge you to go read history, and do some in-depth research about battles and armies, even, hundreds if not thousands of years ago, and see what they used to do to collect trophies of the battle. Okay? So it happens. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm not saying pissing on, a dead body of any kind is a good thing. It's desecration of a body. But you know what? In the heat of the battle, this kind of crap happens. Instead of hating the players, let's hate the bastards that sent them there to begin with and, then instilled that institutionalized hatred and racism, which is put into you in the military because they have to dehumanize the enemy. Now, that's as old as, mankind fighting with one another and warring with each other. The easiest way to get someone to kill another human being is to dehumanize the other person so that the quote-unquote enemy is not human. Then it doesn't bother you as much. It's a lot easier to pull the trigger.
When I went in the Marine Corps, I was 17 years old, and I went through boot camp. And the only thing you heard constantly was Charlie, Gook, Slopehead, and how evil these people were. When you get over into the country, you're ready to kill them. The problem being is these people are no different than you are. These people want to do nothing more than work their lives, raise their children, play with their grandchildren, and die because they know eventually they're going to die. But the problem is we were an invading force. We went in there and invaded their country. For some political yo-yo in Washington and his elite friends.
Exactly. What would you do? What would you do if the Chinese invaded the United States of America? Would you acquiesce and go to camp? No. I know where I'd be.
Well, if they invaded Washington, I'd leave them there.
No, well, I'd be in the.
Washington's not a state anyhow. I'm not talking the state of Washington. Washington, D.C., it's not a state. It's like a little territory inside the country. So we can let them invade Washington. Then we can surround that and just tell them, as long as you don't come out of there, you're fine.
And it means nothing to us. It's crap.
Yeah, you can have it.
That's the nation's garbage dump. Well, we have all your politicians. Well, keep them.
Yes,
we will
please
execute every one of them. Well, do whatever you're going to do, man. I mean,
you need a couple of bucks or something to buy some ammunition. I mean, hey,
take them. We don't want them. Just give us Ron Paul back. Yeah, we don't like him. Yeah, take it. We'll take Ron Paul. The rest of them you can have.
Yeah, we'll negotiate for him and Rand and a couple others, but the rest of them you can just go ahead and do what you want. We raped Nancy Pelosi.
No, I don't even think they'll do that. I don't.
Well, you never know. They do a lot of strange stuff when they're.
I think it's the other way around. I think Nancy Pelosi would be doing that to the soldiers. She's probably well hung. Way more hung than they would be. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Ken and I have gone down that route. I'm only kidding. We're coming up on the break. Stay tuned for hour number 2. We will be right back. Yes, there was a little humor at the end of hour 1. We needed it. Wanted to lighten up the mood a little bit. Stay tuned. Hour number 2. More with tearing into this Fox News clip and other things with my buddy Ken Hildebrand. So stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with hour number 2 of tonight's edition of Down the Rabbit Hole. It is January 27th, 2012. Make sure you go and check out TuneIn. It's an app for smartphones. And I got to tell you, I've been using it on my Android, and you can listen to not only local radio stations, but if an alternative station that you listen to happens to be on their site and they happen to be pulling the stream from it, you'll be able to hear it. Listen to it in your car. You open up the app, brings up the stream, plays clear, nice and loud. I've listened to it multiple times. I've listened to Joe's show while I was food shopping a couple times. During the day, I've listened to John Stokes' show. It's really cool. So go to TuneIn. I think you just Google TuneIn, or if you have your phone, just go to your app store, look up TuneIn, download it, it's free, and then look up the Orion Talk Radio Network and save it to your favorites, and boom, you have us at a finger's touch, whenever you want. So I thought I'd share that with people. That way, if you have to leave the house and go shopping or do an errand, you don't have to leave your favorite radio station. You can take us with you on the road. All right, so let's get back into it. I was tearing this Fox News clip apart with this guy, J.D. Gordon, a former policy advisor to Herman Cain, which should tell you all you need to know. And Fox News brings this douchebag on, and they're trying to convince the person, or people, I should say, watching, the viewers, that war is correct and more war is great. There should be no talks with the Taliban. The Taliban are terrorists, and eventually he's going to compare them to the Nazis because they want you to think that this is a justified fight. They want you to have that mentality of 10 years, endless war. The economy's in the tubes because of this endless war. Just so you know.
Number 2, they're a lot like the Nazis. Instead of being supremacists for race, though, they're supremacists for their tribe and supremacists for their religion. And
so, if somebody was coming into your country and was trying to wipe out you and all of your people, and you felt they were trying to wipe out your religion, and they were killing your women and children, you're a terrorist for defending yourself against an invading army. So by that logic, if the Chinese invaded tomorrow and were killing your sisters, your brothers, your mom, your babies, your sons and your daughters, you're a terrorist if you fight back. You just have to stay there, get shot in the face, and die.
You know what I find that's funny? They keep on going after the Taliban and Afghanistan and all of this. Weren't the 9/11 supposed terrorists, weren't they from Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, supposedly. And
so why are we in Afghanistan? Half
the
a world
Taliban aren't terrorists. They were a ruling regime. And you hear him, well, they just want to get back in the power. It's their country. It's not your country. You don't own Afghanistan. I mean, this guy's got the hubris and the balls on these people. We're only 1 minute and 22 seconds into a 4-minute and 17-second video. And it's taken us, what, like 2.5 clips to tear this thing apart? Because these people just have such hubris, Ken. It's disgusting.
Well, like I say, we're in the wrong country. We should be in Saudi Arabia. We shouldn't be in Afghanistan.
We already are in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, but we've got we're using them for nothing more than a base. But they were supposedly the ones. They were supposed to be all Saudis that did the 9/11. And
I know. Well, by that logic, if you're going to go by this guy's logic, then yeah, you're right. We should have invaded Saudi Arabia, not Afghanistan.
Yeah. So what are we doing in Afghanistan? Other than messing with somebody?
We're chasing Bin Laden and Al Qaeda because that's why we're there.
Bin Laden.
Wait a minute. No, I'm sorry. We're bringing democracy now, Ken. We're not chasing the Taliban. We're not attacking Al Qaeda anymore. Now we're bringing democracy. I'm sorry. The mission.
You see how well that's working out in Libya.
Mission creep.
I told people when they went into Libya, they may take it over, but that's not done by a long shot because those people are tribal. And Gaddafi kept the tribes in line by having a tribal council that ruled that country. And then they turned around and they got rid of Gaddafi. They blew up the tribal council. They put Al Qaeda in charge. And now they're starting to get the results of that because now they're slowly but surely, they're starting to take their own damn towns back. That war in Libya will go on for the next 50 years.
Oh, yeah. And for those that don't know what Ken's talking about, just look up on YouTube. Again, go to my channel, Federal Jack Tube 6, Federal Jack Tube, and the number 6, all one word, and you will see, it was 2 days ago I uploaded it, 2 or 3 days ago. Yeah. Quote-unquote Gaddafi loyalists retook Beni Walid.
Yep.
So, guess all isn't done. But guess what? They officially ended the bombing runs. So do you think maybe the opposition was smart enough to quote-unquote give up publicly to allow the NATO bombardment to stop? Because without those NATO planes, these quote-unquote rebels, they wouldn't have won.
Well, the thing that's reports coming out of there too now is that these so-called rebels that took over Libya, they're butchering people there. I don't see us jumping in the middle of that. The only reason
they were doing that before the war was even over. Susan Lindauer came on and she talked about that. Plus, I actually created. I consulted with somebody, and myself and somebody else created. I don't want to just take all the credit because there was other people involved. But we created another website just specifically for those videos where they were beheading people and stuff like that. I mean, they had one guy, they hung him out upside down and sawed his head off in front of like 300 or 400, cheering morons. And I made that page on Federal Jack with all the pictures of the war crimes and the videos and everything else. And the site we made actually got attacked for a month straight, and it took almost the entire month to bring it down. And then when they brought it down, they destroyed it, and we literally rebuilt it within like a week. And then now it's been up ever since. It's even stronger. It's called Obama's Libya. Many people don't even know that we just kind of did that and threw it out there so people can see what it is. It's obamaslibya.com, if I remember correctly. But
it's a shame in this country.
It's been going on for a while, Ken.
Yeah, well, it's a shame that in this country we have to get the truth from RT and Al Jazeera. That's pathetic. That's pathetic for this country. Our news media in this country should have their First Amendment protections taken away because they just give us the one side. They don't give us the whole thing. They don't analyze anything. They don't look at what's going on. They don't look at the structure of a country and their government to see what in the hell is going to happen next. They just play the damn party line. They keep on going with the party line. They're no better than when the Soviet Union had Pravda. That was the official news media of the Communist Party. And that's all we've got now. ABC, NBC, CBS, PMS, NBC, Chicken Noodle News. What are they? They're nothing more than a mouthpiece for the party. Tote the party line. You got to go somewhere else to get news. We got to get it from Russia TV, or we got to get it from Al Jazeera, or we've got to get it from people who have gone to that country and shot video there and came back to say nobody will put it up. But this is what's going on. Those people didn't know what the hell was going on when they were getting bombed. They couldn't understand why they were getting bombed. I did a whole show on it. And I said then, and I'll say it, that is not over by a long shot, because those tribal leaders are not going to give up their power.
We should start holding politicians that, you know, said nothing and stood idly by while this happened. And even Obama at re-election campaign, somebody should scream out, with a bullhorn. I mean, I don't want you to get arrested by the Secret Service or anything, but that would probably happen. But hold up a sign, Libya. What about Libya? ... Something like that. Call them out on it. I mean, there's people going out there confronting people. I mean, Tuscan did it yesterday. Did you hear what he did to Giuliani?
Yeah, I saw the video. Very good. It was very good.
I covered his first hour for him while they were. I was like, God, I hope he makes it back for the second hour. I hope he doesn't get arrested. And he called in, and they confronted Giuliani real good. I suggest you, ladies and gentlemen, go check out Bob's video. And I think Bob's in the chat room, so he'll throw it in the chat for the people. You got to see it. Just go to Not For Sale, the number 2 NWO, the YouTube channel, and it's up there. Bob Tuscan and his friend Mac smacking Rudy Giuliani around verbally. It's great, dude. You got to see it. Giuliani got hosed. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to give any more airtime to that Fox News clip because I could spend another hour ripping it apart and stopping every 5 seconds, and I probably will run out of time and still not have gone through the whole clip. So there's a few other things I'd like to get to, but perfect example of, the war drum beating, the we need to bomb, kill. That's what we do. Kill, bomb, kill, bomb, kill, bomb. That's basically what that was. It's 4 minutes of that. That's all I heard. Like Charlie Brown, you hear wah, 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 wah. That's all I heard was wah, 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 wah. Bomb, kill, bomb, kill innocent people, bomb little children, kill, death, kill, death. That was that whole clip. So I'm not even going to give any more airtime. But I do want to touch on this really quick. Ken, I'm going to play this clip, this news piece for everybody, because it's like breaking news, and I don't know the full details of it, so without screwing something up, I'd rather just play it. But it's about a minute and a half, and then I want to get into it with you, because apparently Twitter is now censoring tweets depending on what country you're in.
It was an important tool in the Arab Spring uprising. Now Twitter has changed its technology so it can censor messages on a country-by-country basis.
It shouldn't be applied to any social media or social broadcast, but I guess what happened is due to the Middle East and due to the reform and the revolutions everywhere.
Twitter declined an on-camera interview, but released a written statement. It read, "Until now, the only way we could take into account of those countries' limits was to remove content globally. Starting today, we give ourselves the ability to reactively withhold content from users in a specific country while keeping it available in the rest of the world."
The choice is operate not at all or operate in a constrained way. So from that perspective, being honest about what you're up to is in keeping with these standards.
But it is doing what it is supposed to do, as any service does, as it expands into each one of these countries, and that is to abide by the laws of the country.
But some bloggers at a social media forum in Europe said Twitter is selling out.
Clearly there's a huge user backlash against this latest move by Twitter. It was seen as one of the few platforms that was free of any kind of censorship.
I'm afraid it's a slippery slope of censorship.
Oh, yes.
I understand why Twitter is doing this. They want to be able to enter in more countries and deal with the local laws. But as Google learned in China, when you become the agent of the censor, there are problems there.
Can you imagine a system where you couldn't say government stupid?
Social networking censorship was the topic of discussion at this media law class near Twitter's headquarters in San Francisco.
You can't prevent speech. And in China, where they have a lot of censorship for online, people...
All right, I'm going to stop it there. Yeah, you can prevent speech, lady. All you have to do is if you control a certain, media platform, you get that platform to comply, which they just did. So You're not supposed to, but you can physically. We need to reword how we speak. A lot of word magic going on. I suggest you look that up. I'm not kidding. It's a couple hours worth of research into that, but they actually, there's the entire lexicon of the country has been changed over the course of time, and meaning of words has been, twisted around and stuff, specifically for purposes way deeper than I can get into tonight. But just look up word magic and why they do what they do. So it's time to, again, education, information, self-empowerment. Way to do it. So, Ken, what do you think about Twitter now just becoming another useless tool of these globalist douchebags?
Well, I'll tell you. When Netflix raised their prices, people dumped them like a hot potato. And that's what we ought to do to Twitter. We ought to all go out there and just cancel the accounts. Cancel them. You want to play that game? Fine. Boom. Gone. I mean, I've got a Twitter account. I put a few things up there. Nothing really great. Nothing really, I'll put up some stuff about the show, or I'll put a link to a video up there. But I don't really need it. Twitter to me is nothing more than somebody going, I went to the store today, and 2 seconds later you go, I just scratched my butt. And a couple minutes later.
I don't understand that. Did you ever see the feature where people have on Twitter, if you have it on your cell phone, like if you have it on your cell phone app and it's open, you can have it tweet from your GPS from your phone. Like it'll automatically tweet.
Where you're at.
Yeah, I'm at, Bob's Fish Market on, 123, Main Street in Peoria, Illinois. I see it all the time, and it'll do it to Facebook too. And I'm like, don't you care that, like, you're letting everybody in the world know where you're at? No, I think it's totally cool, Popeye. Why is it a bad thing? I don't understand. Ken, what would make that a bad thing? Just because a stalker could follow me or somebody could rob my house because you're not home, idiot.
Yeah, people don't think of that. It's cool. All my friends know where I'm at. Yeah, and so do all your enemies, too. But this, the only way to get these people to realize things is, like I said on my show last week, I'm going to say it again this week. In the month of February, boycott movies, don't buy a DVD, don't buy a CD. Let these moguls that are in the record and entertainment industry, let them stew in their own juices. The same thing's got to be done to Twitter. Cancel your accounts. Go up there and cancel your accounts. You want to play this game? You want to restrict free speech? Fine. Now you've got no free speech to restrict. Now you can sit there and, hey, you can monitor all your friends because nobody else is on your damn channel. You want to play that game? Let's play hardball. They didn't listen to the people that were in the Tea Party. They laughed at you people in the 99% when you went and occupied everything. They just laughed at you because you weren't effective. The way to be effective is to shut these people down. And I'm not talking hacking their sites. I'm talking about just canceling your accounts. Just cancel them. And let's see what they do when nobody goes to their account. The same thing, Facebook is screaming, and they're trying to figure out now, should we be on the stock exchange on this one, or should we be on that one because they're coming out with a with an initial public offering? I got a better idea. If we all canceled our accounts, they could go up there, they could have their initial IPO and be worth about 2 cents a share. I could care less because they're going to do the same damn thing to us.
I got something to say about Facebook. I get because we're gonna go to break in about 2 minutes, but I got something to say about Facebook. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Popeye.
You remember when the wall came down, Ken?
Yep.
You remember the East German people stormed the Stasi headquarters, and they went in, and they were just aghast at the amount of information that people had, or that they had on the people, I should say. You realize that people put more on Facebook and Twitter today and other social networking sites. They put more information up than the Stasi had on people. And people's reactions to the Stasi having all this information was people were wailing and crying, screaming and yelling for weeks. And you today run around putting a photo up. And for people that don't know this, if you take a photo with your smartphone, okay, You're on vacation. You're in your house. You take a photo of your smartphone, it puts GPS coordinates in the photo. And when you upload it to Facebook or whatever other ones are out there, if MySpace still exists, although I think MySpace went the way of Friendster, but it puts GPS coordinates in the photo. And with the proper program, which you can buy for like $50-$60 online, you can just as simple as right-click on the photo. Once you open up someone's Facebook page and go look at their photos, you right-click on the photo, go in, and you can find the exact coordinates on the planet of where that photo was taken. There's some food for thought, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to break. Ken and I will be right back.
President John F. Kennedy.
Ladies and gentlemen, the very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. Dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. No president should fear public scrutiny of his program, for from that scrutiny comes understanding, and from that understanding comes support or opposition, and both are necessary. I am not asking your newspapers to support an administration, but I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people. For I have complete confidence in the response and dedication of our citizens whenever they are fully informed. I not only could not stifle controversy among your readers, I welcome it. This administration intends to be candid about its errors. For as a wise man once said, an error doesn't become a mistake until you refuse to correct it. We intend to accept full responsibility for our errors, and we expect you to point them out when we miss them. Without debate, without criticism, no administration and no country can succeed, and no republic can survive. That is why the Athenian lawmaker Solon decreed it a crime for any citizen to shrink from controversy. And that is why our press was protected by the First Amendment the only business in America specifically protected by the Constitution, not primarily to amuse and entertain, not to emphasize the trivial and the sentimental, not to simply give the public what it wants, but to inform, to arouse, to reflect, to state our dangers and our opportunities, to indicate our crises and our choices, to lead, mold, educate, and sometimes even anger public opinion. This means greater coverage and analysis of international news, for it is no longer far away and foreign, but close at hand and local. It means greater attention to improved understanding of the news, as well as improved transmission. And it means, finally, that government at all levels must meet its obligation to provide you with the fullest possible information outside the narrowest limits of national security. And so it is to the printing press, to the recorder of man's deeds, the keeper of his conscience, the courier of his news, that we look for strength and assistance, confident that with your help, man will be what he was born to be, free and independent.
Some wise words from President Kennedy. Never gets old to hear that. Sometimes it's a little inspiring for people to hear that. I've had people email me. Usually when I play it on air, I get at least 1 or 2 emails. And people are always like, oh, you know, I love that Kennedy speech. It's great. Thank you so much. You know, it gave me, you know, chills, or, you know, it brought like a tear to my eye. A lot of times it inspires people, so I like to play it from time to time. And people, I know Kennedy wasn't a saint, but I believe from what I've researched over many years that Kennedy, later in his life and as he was progressing, especially after the Bay of Pigs fiasco and the whole Mary Meyer incident, where he had an affair with Mary Meyer, Cord Meyer, who was involved with his assassination. It was his wife, and she was into psychedelic drugs, and there's some evidence to show that she might have helped him maybe open his third eye or whatever, as it were, kind of opened him up to a new train of thought anyway, at the very least. And plus the Bay of Pigs fiasco and things operating, you know, outside of his control, he really felt he was the president and the buck stopped with him. So they thought he could be controlled. Jack wouldn't be controlled, so they blew his head completely off. It's as simple as that. There's many different things that went into it. There's many different facets. The Kennedy assassination is a huge spider web, but to simplify it, he wouldn't play ball. And Bill Hicks said this, and it's funny because Judith Baker has said it in the couple interviews I've had with her, that when they get a new president, ever since Kennedy, they must bring the guy into an office, quiet room, film screening room somewhere, and they turn the lights off, and a never before seen angle of the Kennedy assassination comes up. And it plays out, and then the lights come up, and over the loudspeaker it says, "Any questions?" And he says, "Nope." And he gets the point. You know, play ball, you're going to be like Jack. Now, again, Kennedy wasn't perfect, his family wasn't perfect, but I think he was much better than his father. His father was a dirtbag. And yes, his father kind of liked the Nazis. So, but that's an altogether different thing. The point is, I hope it inspires you to get up and do something, you know. Tuscan going out and, you know, verbally, you know, schooling Giuliani, you know, and getting thrown out, and then his friend Matt standing up and doing the same thing. I hope their actions push you to do things like that. Start a website, get out and physically give out DVDs, you know, do a confrontation if you can. Make a YouTube channel.
Even if you do nothing more than go see your local congressman when he's holding a get-together and ask him some uncomfortable questions. Because not only is he going to have to answer to you, if you phrase the questions right, because if he doesn't, he's going to look like a dick to the rest of his constituents sitting there. And that's the whole thing. That's the only way we get the truth out. You can't beat people over the head with it like a club. You got to slowly feed them. And you've got to do confrontations, just like Bob did. Maybe not to the extreme. That Bob is an extreme guy. You got to watch out for Bob. You know, he's off the hook sometimes. But if you can't, yeah, I know. You know, he's easily excitable. But if you can't talk to your own representatives, then what good is it?
Well, I mean, it's kind of a joke anyway, but no, I mean, Ken's got a point. If you go talk to the representatives or when you call them and send letters, your phone calls, you know, I think the math is, it's something like for every one call, they think it's like 5,000 constituents or something, or 10,000 constituents think like you do. Yeah. So, you know, imagine when you flood their office with calls, although look at the bailout. That really didn't stop them, did it? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to break. Stay tuned. Final segment coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. I want to have Ken play something for you. Ken, cue up Red Skelton.
Okay, here we go.
On the Pledge of Allegiance.
A teacher that I had. Now, I went through the 7th grade. I went to the 7th grade. I left home when I was 10 years old because I was hungry. And I used to, this is true. I work in the summer, I go to school in the winter. But I had this one teacher, he was the principal of the Harrison School in Vincennes, Indiana. To me, this was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time, anyhow. He had such wisdom. And we were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one day. And he walked over, this little teacher, Mr. Laswell was his name. Mr. Laswell, he says, he says, I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester, and it seems as though it's becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word. I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge. Dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity. Allegiance, my love and my devotion to the flag, our standard, oh glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts freedom is everybody's job. United. That means that we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose. And that's love for country. And to the Republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people. And it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance: under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer and that would be eliminated from schools too?
Yeah, and do you even let them, or hear them, I should say this, the Pledge of Allegiance anymore in schools? Or is it the pledge to a global government now?
I don't know. Maybe it's a pledge to the United Nations.
Ugh.
But that...
You know, he's got a point. You know, when I was a kid, it's what made me want to be a volunteer firefighter when I was a kid. And the first thing I did when I turned 18 years old, and this is not a lie, on my 18th birthday, before I went to work, I stopped at the firehouse, which I had grown up around as a child, and dropped off my application. Within 2 weeks, I was in the fire academy.
People don't realize what they have taken away from us over the years. And now they've accelerated it to such a point that they don't care they don't care what you think anymore. They don't care if you complain to them. They're just going to keep on taking until we stop them. And the way to stop them is look, to start with, you're not getting back in office. We have another election coming up. Kick them out. Kick the bums out.
Yeah, when they put their hand in the till, you break their hand. My brother, when he was like 17, 18, he had a part-time job as a kid working. He was working 2 jobs, and one of his part-time gigs was working at a grocery store. And he had some guy try to reach in his register when he was getting change and steal the money. So my brother did the right thing. He slammed the register drawer closed on the guy's hand and snapped 4 of the guy's fingers. And his hand was stuck in the register. It was really disgusting. The guy's hand was mangled. My brother did the right thing. He didn't get fired for it. You know, he stopped the guy from being a criminal. That's what we need to do to these people. Slam the register drawer on their hands.
Well, in manufacturing, we have the same thing. You know, you don't go into a guy's toolbox. You need something, you ask the guy, he goes over and gets it, unless he really knows, you're good for, yeah, it's over there and, in the 3rd drawer down from the top on the left-hand side. But other than that, you never just go and take something. But these people today, they've taken so much, it doesn't matter anymore. They just keep on.
It's a different country. It's a different country than the country I grew up in, Ken. And, I'm only in my mid-30s. I mean, it's completely... I was raised old school, and I'm not saying I was raised to be brain dead. I was raised to defend the citizen, to stand up and defend innocent people, no matter what. If I was always taught if a country invaded, you would stand up and defend your country, whatever the cost, because you would be defending the people. You know what I mean? But that was if there was an invasion. But I was always also taught not to. I was also taught never, I should say, to believe what the government tells you. Ever. I was 17, and on my truck I had a sticker that said, "Don't steal, the government hates competition." The next time I ever saw that sticker was on Ron Paul's desk, and I was like, I like him. I used to drive around. I have pictures of my old truck when I was 17, because in Jersey you get your license when you're 17. And I had, big, and I was a firefighter, so, you'd see me drive. I had a light bar, on my truck, to be able to, if there was a call, you could get to the firehouse. And we had it right in the back of the truck. Don't steal, the government hates competition. Never trusted the government. Even after 9/11, I didn't. I joined up before we invaded Iraq. I joined up because we were going after the bad guys that killed the people in New York. And remember, I was a firefighter at the time, so in Jersey, so I had kind of a personal, it took a personal thing. I guess it turned it into... I guess even saying it was personal, it doesn't describe it well. It just, if you were there and that close to it, it hit you much differently. I mean, I had survivor's guilt for years. It was really screwed up. And anybody that was there and went through it, that you can understand what I mean. But we didn't sign up to invade Iraq. But I kind of had a feeling that it might happen. And there was a lot of people that had a feeling that it was going to happen. And it was not cool, because there was a lot of people that, you don't want to, you're getting sent over there. So you don't go over there, the people that went over there, not all of them went over there they didn't go over there to fight for, the country and freeing, we're freeing Iraqi people. Most of them don't even buy into that. Half of them don't buy that crap. They're just fighting for their friends because they want to make sure they know that they're all going over there. They don't have a say in it. So the only thing that they can do, the only sort of control they have over the situation is to try to make sure that all of their friends and themselves make it back in one piece. And that's what they fight for.
Yeah, that's all anybody ever fights for. You're really not fighting an enemy. You're fighting... You're basically trying to keep each other alive to get through it and get home.
Exactly. And it's BS. We shouldn't be putting our boys and girls in this situation, Ken. And it's really beginning at... Not even beginning. It's already begun a long time ago. And it's just, it's like a thorn, not even a thorn in my side. Every time I think about it, it's like getting knifed in the ribcage because I feel so bad for just every person that went over there because I know what they went through. I understand on a different level what they went through. You know what I mean? And I know what challenges they face when they come home and deal with the freaking government. And, I know how it feels to be all pumped up like you're part of a team and you're something special and then be kicked to the curb the very next day like you're not cared about. It's a very sobering experience, right, Ken?
They got a wall in Washington, D.C. with over 58,000 names on it from the Vietnam War, and I've never been there. One of these days I might work up enough nerve to go, but I've never been there.
Oh, and unfortunately, Ken, neither you nor any of your brothers or sisters should ever have been sent to that horrible war. And none of the listeners to this program that are vets should have been sent to that war. Nobody should have been sent to Iraq and Afghanistan, and it's time to bring our troops home. If you really support the troops, ladies and gentlemen, don't send them, treats or a brownie. Don't buy a friggin' yellow ribbon, and don't tie it around the old oak tree. If you support the goddamn troops, end the effing wars and bring them home. End of story. Thank you for listening this evening, Ken. As always, my brother, thank you for hanging out.
It's been a pleasure.
Semper Fi, ladies and gentlemen. We are out.